So the first question that a lot of people have is, a lot of people are stuck in jobs that's making them miserable and they don't enjoy it. They think it's meaningless. It's just data entry or working for some company that does a random thing. So the question a lot of people have is, should they quit their job if it's making them miserable? Or is there some way to find some kind of meaning in the drudgery?
Yeah, probably the smart thing to do is to find the meaning. Make it meaningful. Because quitting isn't going to get you anywhere. Unless you have something meaningful you want to switch to.
Right. So how do you do that?
Well, the real purpose in work in general, why did God arrange it that human beings have to go to work to make money and then use the money to buy food so that they could... It's such a roundabout, complicated, convoluted... It's not only to make money and to have what to eat. In fact, if we had what to eat without making money, we would be so much happier. Probably healthier.
It's true.
So the purpose is to make contact between people. Without business, without work, we would have very limited contact. We'd stay within our own little cave or enclave and never get to meet people that we meet because of work. So take that into consideration and start looking around the contacts you make, your customers, your suppliers, and see what you can do to make their lives better, meaningful, learn something from them, teach them something. Bring in the human element here, because that's really what it's all about. And that makes it meaningful.
So what if someone is in such a job and they do have these contacts with people, what's the message that they should try to share with their coworkers and people they meet?
I guess it depends on what the people need. You see somebody who's having a hard time, you give them a little encouragement, you give them some suggestions. You show an interest. Human contact. It's become a very dehumanized environment,
Yep.
the workplace. And I think that COVID made a big difference. People realized you don't have to be in these horrible workplaces where there's nothing but greed and jealousy and competition and backstabbing, and who needs this? So hopefully we're not going to go back to that. It was not a healthy place. And so everybody is on anti-anxiety pills. I mean, something was wrong. So make it a more humane environment. Spend half the time at work doing something for your community. Because you really don't need...
What do you got?
You really don't need... just smile. Here we go. You really don't need 9 to 5 for the business.
Right.
At least 3 of those hours are pure waste of time. At least 3, maybe more. Use that time to think of ways to improve the community, improve the quality of life. Do something mental. It would change the atmosphere in the office or in the workplace. It would take away the nastiness, the discomfort. It would bring us back to life.
Do you think that this problem is or was before COVID is a modern problem, or do you think that it was always like that?
I think since the Industrial Revolution, when having a career became as important as having children, and then it became more important.
Right.
I mean, that's dehumanizing. A guy comes home and his children annoy him because he already put in his day's work.
What? Garbage?
He already put in his day's work. He has his life. He's lived his life. What do you want from me now? So the family is actually like a disturbance in his life. This is. I mean, the children know it.
Yeah.
They feel it. And then what do you expect? So I think since since careers became careers instead of just feeding your family, it's been downhill.
I think it's a good thing when these companies do like a bring your child to work day, or is that just counterproductive?
It really depends what they do. So you bring your child to work and tolerate them for an hour? There's got to be a little more substance to it than that.
Some people raise their kids, tell them to get a job. How should they talk to them about that? The importance of working and being independent and stuff like that.
I think it's already overdone. It's so overdone that the children don't want to hear about it. There's so much emphasis on working and having a career and getting rich and successful that it's disturbing. It doesn't represent a true purpose in life, and yet it's presented as if it is. And kids know it. You're trying to inject meaning into something that is not that meaningful. Yes, you have to make a living. Why? Because you have to eat. That's about it. So, okay, fine. Now I have what to eat. Now what? It's basically maintaining an existence without really having a life. And that is so painful to the human spirit. Another thing painful. You tell children at a young age, be quiet, don't bother anybody, sit still, and you'll be a good boy. And something about that message disturbs the human soul. Sitting quietly is goodness? That's what makes me good? No, that's a trained dog. So there's something about the human spirit that rebels and says, that's being a good boy? Good for what? Like the comedian says, parents don't want justice, they want quiet. So, okay, you got quiet, and that's my life?
Right.
So even before we give them the bad message that making money is life, we give them an even worse message. Don't do anything, and that's the best. Three messages. So then people say, oh, well, what do you expect from a 6-year-old? Besides quiet. You can expect a lot. And you can start at 4. Look out for your kid sister. Get up from the table and bring something. Don't just sit there. Don't just sit there. What did you learn in school? Say something. No, just be quiet. It's horrible.
So how do you teach your kids to be thoughtful and to have something worth saying?
Well, expect it. Don't demand it, expect it. A child is a human being. Don't treat him like a pet. I think today people expect more from their pet than from their kid.
More activity?
Fetch. Kid doesn't even have to fetch.
Do you think that's more damaging for boys than girls? Do you think it's about the same?
Essentially, it's the same. I mean, there are differences, of course. And those differences are important to know. But generally speaking, if I'm not contributing, then my existence becomes intolerable. I can't just exist and not contribute. It goes against the human soul.
It seems very counterintuitive that the thing that bothers a person the most is that they exist. It seems like no other being would have such a problem. It seems like the most comforting thing you have is that you exist at the end of the day.
If it were only true. If it were only true, if we could be content to have a comfortable existence and not care about having a life, yeah, we would be as happy as a tree. but we're not trees. So, no, it's not going to work.
Why is that?
You know, because if you treat a human being like he's a tree, something's going to go wrong. You can't fool Mother Nature.